Every trading card reduces a creature to a set of features: its name, type, attack power, and effect. Without those features, the game couldn't exist. As Kant basically said, in order for us to think about reality, we must structure it into categories. Trading cards are a metaphor. To see reality at all, we have to frame it. Take the Blue Eyes White Dragon card, for example. Observe how the card literally shows itself as an appearance, based on whether or not it's face up or face down. And when the card is face up, you only see the artwork of the blue eyes as a frozen image. You don't see the blue eyes in action, only framed as a card. Different cards with different art styles may reveal to us different facets, different faces of the blue eyes, but there are other aspects of the blue eyes that we don't see. This is what Kant means when we only perceive the phenomenal world and not the noumenal. We only see the appearance, not the essence. And what's interesting is that despite all of the different faces of the blue eyes, each blue eyes is treated as the same in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. In fact, even features of a card are treated as exactly the same. Nietzsche pointed this out in his essay on Truth and Lies in the Non-Moral Sense, when he talks about how concepts flatten the individual differences between things. Quote, "Every concept arises from the equation of unequal things, just as it is certain that one leaf is never totally the same as another, so it is certain that the concept of leaf is formed by arbitrarily discarding these individual differences and by forgetting the distinguishing aspects." Attack power in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the clearest metaphor of concept arising from unequal things. If you take a bunch of dragons with 3,000 attack points, they may all have the same attack power, but the way they attack is unique. Blue Eyes White Dragon attacks with white lightning, and a Red Dragon Archfiend attacks with a scorching crimson flare. Yet in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, their attacks are essentially treated the same, because they all have the attack power of 3,000 points. And while Kant and Nietzsche give us a glimpse into the limits of how we come to understand things, Foucault takes this further by showing that these structures aren't fixed because they change across history. In his book, The Order of Things, he divides human epistemology into 3 epistemes, or historical paradigms of how we know what we know: the Renaissance, Classic, and Modern. The Renaissance episteme dealt with resemblance and similarity. This would be like organizing cards according to their element or artworks. In Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, there are 6 attributes a card could fall under: light, dark, fire, water, air, and earth. So all trading cards, regardless of their features, would be grouped together based on the fact that they have a watery or a fiery vibe to them, even with cards from other card games. The classic episteme dealt with taxonomy and classification. This is where cards are ordered not based on vibes or energy, but actual defined features of the card. First, the cards could be organized based on the different trading card games, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and Pokemon. Then, in the Yu-Gi-Oh category, cards could be organized into monster, spell, trap card, Xyz monster, fusion monster, synchro monster, and then the monsters would be further divided based on either their type, archetype, or card rarity, or attack power, or level, etc. All the dragons would be organized into a category, and all of the dinosaurs would be ordered into a category, and so on and so forth. And finally, the modern episteme focused on dynamics and processes. This is where categorization starts to become particularly complex and complicated, because it's not merely observing clear representations or features of the card, but what the cards actually do in the game. The classical episteme would merely divide cards into archetypes. The Naturia archetype would be grouped together because they are all cute cartoon forest creatures, and the Dark World archetype would be grouped together because they are all malicious fiends with striking purple lightning in the background. But the modern episteme would acknowledge the playstyle and hidden strategy underneath both archetypes. Naturias would be known for their ability to negate and control cards. For example, Naturia Beast can negate spell cards, while Dark Worlds would be known for discarding and drawing cards. For example, Grapha, Dragon Lord of the Underworld, can be special summoned if he's discarded. Naturally, one begins to wonder if there's an episteme that's actually better than the others. Foucault would probably refrain from answering this question. In the preface of The Order of Things, he opens with a bizarre classification from Borges, where animals are grouped in a way that seem absurd and hilarious, until you realize they follow a different logic. What feels natural to us is already shaped by a system we don't fully see. But if we don't see it, how do we break out of it? Well, there are times when the organizational system starts to break beyond our control. Later in the book, Foucault talks about how monsters are things that expose our categories by not fitting into them. And in trading card games, this happens all the time. Let's say we divide cards by type and put all of the dragons into a pile. Everything seems fine until you run into a card like Power Tool Dragon. It literally has dragon in its name, but in the game it's defined as a machine type. So now it's grouped with machines and treated like a machine in the actual game, but not treated like a dragon at all, despite being called and appearing like a dragon. Now, all creatures in trading card games are monsters. Pokemon means pocket monsters, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Also means duel monsters. But for Foucault, Power Tool Dragon is an actual monster because it puts strain on the organizational system by exposing the limitation of its ability to categorize. Sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh! Tries to patch it up with its own internal structure. Take Light and Darkness Dragon. It's clearly defined as light for its attribute, but it could easily be typed as a dark attribute monster. But since monster cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Can only have one attribute with its categorizational system, Light and Darkness Dragon has to say in its own text, this card is also treated as dark attribute. But this makes me wonder, why doesn't Power Tool Dragon have a similar attention to detail saying this card is also treated as a dragon type? This makes the rules in Yu-Gi-Oh! Almost random or arbitrary. Even the same creature in the same card game can be treated as two different objects. Take Torterra and Pokemon. Torterra can be defined as either a grass type or a fighting type as two separate cards. But also, not only can one creature be treated differently in the same game, but treated differently in different games. Observe what happens when we add Cold Water Snapper from Magic the Gathering and Naturia Landois from Yu-Gi-Oh! They're essentially like Torterra, giant land turtles that appear to shake the ground when they move. Yet look how different they appear in each game. First, their artworks are different. Torterra and Pokemon looks like a cartoon, smooth with simple features, while in Magic, Cold Water Snapper looks realistic and detailed. And in Yu-Gi-Oh!, Naturia Landois looks like something in between, a realistic cartoon. And then also look at how they are typed. Landois is vaguely defined as a rock type, nothing resembling a turtle or even a mammal or a water creature. It's defined as a rock. And Torterra is clearly a turtle, but not viewed as a turtle at all, only a grass or fighting type. Only in Magic the Gathering do you see a feature that would actually call this kind of creature a turtle. Another point worth noting is that Torterra is a stage 2 Pokemon. Pokemon emphasizes almost a kind of narrative and process of growth over time, while in Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't really get that at all. Sometimes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters do evolve, but it's not emphasized or a structure of the game that must be played around. And this leads to a deeper question. Who decides these categories in the first place? Whether or not Power Tool Dragon is a dragon or a machine type. Whether or not Torterra can be defined as a grass or fighting type. Why different creatures in general can appear so differently in different frameworks. In the end, after all this organization of cards, I think Foucault is ultimately asking us to question and think deeply about how we organize and structure the world in front of us and the kinds of implications it creates. While it may seem harmless to organize things, what happens when we start attributing value judgments and expectations to our organizations? If we organize cards by attack power, do we start privileging and enforcing higher attack power cards over others? If we organize cards based on type, do we privilege certain types like dragons over other types? We're not merely organizing the world, we're deciding what matters.